Welcome to episode 37. We're on the origin story of designers discussing design. I'm Jonathan Gilmore, or maybe not. I'm Daryl Andrews, but we do have Jonathan Gilmore here, and also my co-host Senfeng Lim, who is working on some technical things. Your grace is always appreciated when it comes to some of our technical difficulties, but we're hoping that this will be a great show. We have a couple guests on that have never been on the show, and we're really excited about talking to them. And as our witty and clever title implies, we'll also be talking lots of origins, which Sen and I will be going for the very first time, and we'll be picking Jonathan Gilmore's brain and one of our guests who's also an origins veteran about what it's like and how to do origins the right way. But before we go there, I gotta go to my brother from another mother, Jonathan Gilmore. What you been playing? What you been doing lately?
Man, I've been playing a ton of prototype stuff, getting ready for Origins next week. Almost every night, it seems like. But tonight, I played Paperback from Tim Fowers.
Cool.
Which is a fantastic game. Really like it. Got to play that, and I played a little bit of Roll for It with my wife. She loves really simple dice games, so Chris Letter designed that, and it's a nice little game. How about you?
Is you me or you Sen?
Sen.
Yeah, because if he was asking you, he'd say, "What have I played lately?"
I know. I was like, "Is you like? Am I saying that?" I don't know.
Okay. So for me, being neither Daryl nor Jonathan nor Jonathan, I have played. I played a lot of stuff actually. Was at Snakes and Lattes in Tirana, playing prototypes on Monday night. What did I play? I played the B-movie game that Steve Tossi's re-releasing, which is pretty fun stuff. It's just chaotic fun making up movies and horror movies. I think this one is the Grave Robbers from Outer Space.
Yep.
And so you're making movies, and you're trying to populate it with characters, and when you play creatures and monsters, you're attacking other people's movies and their movie sets, and the end goal is try to have the most surviving characters, really, that have a lot of points on them. And there's some neat stuff in there in terms of keywords triggering and whatnot. It's very much if you've played the original game, there's some changes. Now there's actually, instead of a free-for-all I play whatever I want type of game, now there's some resource management in there to play the cards. You need to produce popcorn.
I love the popcorn management. It's awesome.
And so it's become a little bit cleaner in that way, or not cleaner, but more
a little gamier.
Strategic, yeah, a little gamier, a little less of a free-for-all. And after that, I played Tim Brown, our good friend Tim Brown's games. We played Polygon, which is a really cool abstract game. Tim's really good at abstract games, where you're trying to use everybody has the same set of polygonal shapes, a hexagon, a triangle, a very big triangle, a bunch of little triangles, and a couple little trapezoid shapes that you're trying to score based on two things. The first thing is how much of your pieces are surrounding an open space in the middle, and you'd score based on number of sides that you're surrounding. And then once the game's over, you're scoring based on number of edges that you have around the whole big conglomerated shape. It's totally abstract. There's no need for a theme. And it's wonderful amounts of fun. And it's actually available as a print and play up on BGG right now. So if you like abstracts, this is a really fun and really good one. So give it a shot. We also played Josh Papel's River Runners, which is a kid's memory game. And you flip over tiles and you jump across river stones and things like that. So I'm actually going to be hopefully getting that in front of Haba when we go to Origins. I have a couple other games from Tim to look at when we're there, Daryl to vet as artisan thing for Game Artisans of Canada.
Ooh.
Because Tim actually isn't a full artisan yet. He opted not to. And so we're going to review one of his games, which is a kind of a trivia party game type thing.
Cool.
I think you've played it already, but we'll give it the full run through. And then we played another one of Tim's, which was this sort of match 3 kind of game where Mummy was coming down inside a pyramid called Key Code. And it was a really interesting exercise in spatial relations and rotational skills. So that was pretty fun. And then today, I worked a lot on a couple prototypes, including one that I can't name because it's a license that hasn't been released yet, hasn't been announced, so I can't tell you about that one. But it was fun. And then one that a friend in town, Scott Van Vliet, who's a fellow professor at Fanshawe, has asked me to help co-design his racing game. Have you played that, Daryl?
No, I have not.
But have you seen pictures of it? The racing game? Where
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, okay.
I want to try it for myself.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. What have you been doing lately, Daryl?
Well, I finally got home, which was fantastic, and it was nice to get some gaming on. So I played a little Carcassonne. I played Neptune from Queen. That was a great game. I really enjoyed that. What's his name? Dirk. Guy Alhambra.
Dirk Hen.
Dirk Hen, thank you.
Yes.
Dirk Hen, you got another good one there. Well done. So with Neptune, played some Machikoro with expansion. Still not convinced, but I want to be. I want to be. Like I get that people enjoy it, and when I play it with people, especially non-gamers, they have a good time, and I say to myself, how are you having a good time? Because I want to have this good time with you, but it just like makes me feel like I'm playing Settlers. And yeah, so what else? I mean, I've been playing some prototypes. Actually, big secret news right now. In less than 24 hours, one of my prototypes...
Super secret,
because no one watches our show. Or hopefully actually lots of people do. And then maybe you can encourage this to happen, or your good vibes, or you can say a little prayer for me. Hasbro is playing one of my games tomorrow. So,
oh, wow.
Fingers crossed!
Yeah, fingers crossed. I put my toes up and show you my toes are crossed, but that'd be kind of gross.
I'm super excited about that. So, it's honestly a really cool privilege to just be able to say like people at Hasbro played my game. So I'm already kind of like I won, but then there's like that small bubble, like that little kernel of hope of like, but could you imagine if they made it? Oh, so anyway, so
yeah.
But with that said, we need to get our guests on. Sen, can you introduce our guests so that especially I didn't butcher one of our guest names right off the bat?
All right, so our guests tonight are Chenier LaSalle, who is, interestingly enough...
This is crazy. He's like the Dylan replacement. It's crazy.
And he's like totally a fellow Canadian, and I'm trying to get his camera on. And then we have Isaac Shaliv, who is not Canadian, but that's okay. We still like him.
He was watching hockey tonight, so that's basically Canadian.
Yeah, it's just like being Canadian.
And probably more Canadian than you, son.
He probably is. I don't eat that much poutine, and I don't watch that much hockey.
Oh, talking about Canadian foods, I ate tortilla tonight.
Oh, wow. Hey, good for you.
Two French-Canadian staples, tortilla and poutine.
Yeah, I do actually like them both. I can't eat them for dietary reasons.
It was a St. Hubert tortilla.
That you got at a store?
Yeah. I got it at a big grocery store. I saw it and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So
it's pre-packaged
pre-made
from St.
an hour in the oven. Delicious.
That's too funny. Delicious. Well, let's get started with our guests here. Daryl, why don't you throw out the first question? We're gonna focus a lot on.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go right to Chenier here. And first of all, congratulations on your game. I haven't played it yet, obviously, because it's not out yet. But I've been following along from a distance as you've shown some of the progress and been sharing encouragements to designers. And I just want to say thank you, first of all. That's just been really fun to follow along. But also, could you tell us a little bit about your game? Just like, what's the idea of it? How does it play? Just a general idea of New York 1901.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me, and I'm glad you appreciated all the posts I made online, and I've been making quite a few. I've been bothering people. You
I love it.
try to measure not to bother too much.
Yeah,
Want to inform people. We've all played that game, but it paid off. I made this game called New York 1901. I'll tell you a bit of the story behind it, and then I'll tell you about the game itself. I was a gamer when I was young. I'm 46, so I played D&D. Played all those games, tried to make modules, never completed them, and then went to universities, played a few board games at university. You guys might know the game Junta, which is a Banana Republic game where you try to fill your pockets. Played that in college. And a couple of others, diplomacy. I had the Avalon Hill war simulations. I remember having Third Reich. We'd set up the table. It would take an hour, and then we'd play an hour, and the game was just 1/10 completed, and we'd have to pack it up. A hiatus for about 15 years. Now I've got kids of my own, a family. I've got and I start to play games again with them, and I discovered the market has changed completely. I think the first game that my wife brought back, and she brought it back from Winners, so probably some nice little Euro game, nice luxury toy game store just went bankrupt, and they're overstocked. They're ended up at Winners. Winners is like Marshalls in the States. It's the same company actually. And she brought back That's Life. I don't know if you guys know that game. It's a Ravensburger game.
Absolutely,
and,
great game.
It's a great little game, and I thought this is clever. And of course we had. I'm talking about 9-10 years ago when I rediscovered games, and I started, I went online, did a bit of research on that game, found out about the rediscovered gaming, rediscovered the games had changed. They're much more friendlier, easier to get into, and so I discovered the big gateway games like Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride, Alhambra, all these. Just bought them all. Turn-in Taxis. And then I discovered the Spiel des Jahres, so I saw the list and I saw which games were rated highly and which games would possibly play well with my family.
Yep.
Did that and decided to go on and create my own after playing all of those gateway games. We decided to play to create a game of our own. So it's a mix. If you compare it, it's got elements of Ticket to Ride. The type of objectives in-game, where you score points in Ticket to Ride by building routes, in New York 1901 by building bigger and bigger skyscrapers, and then you've got end-game objectives that are open to the whole table, that will reward you for example, for building more of the higher technology buildings or more of the lower technology buildings, or having control of certain areas within New York. And you've got that aspect of the game is more like blockus, the shape of the skyscrapers, and the actual shape is inspired by the real shape of turn of the century New York skyscrapers.
Right.
I've thrown a whole bunch of information.
No, that's awesome. No, that's fantastic. I mean, That's Life is done by the Kramer and Kiesling. So I mean, you stumbled onto one of my favorite designing pairs. So I don't blame you for being inspired.
Oh, when I played that game first, I thought, this is clever. This is fun, and it opened up a world. I could turn the camera, and I've got my wall is not as big as yours, but I've got something like what you've got behind you after rediscovering games.
John,
So,
you got a question?
Yeah, Blue Orange is the publisher, and they're going to be at Origins next week. Are you going to be there at all supporting the game?
I won't be there. I've heard, and they don't keep me informed of every single communications comm move that they do. Every now and then I will hear of things that they're doing, and I know that they will be at Origins, but they didn't ask me to come. But I will be at Gen Con, and I think that's the official debut for the game. But they will be at Origins, and they will be demoing the game.
Yeah, I saw it on the board game preview and I'm really excited for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's on Eric Martin's list.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure if that means it's on display or if it'll be demo or if they'll play test a few or so. It'll be interesting to see.
It looks like
Blue
demo
Orange always
in the
has a
middle.
nice display, so.
My guess
Cool,
is
so-
that they won't be demoing it, but I'm not certain.
Well,
Yeah, that's
maybe
what the
we can-
BGG list says.
All right. Chenier, you are a Canadian diplomat, correct?
Yes, I am.
And where are you stationed right now?
I'm based in Houston. I arrived here about 3.5 years ago, a little over 3.5 years, and I'm going back to Ottawa actually this summer.
Okay.
But basically, the development of the game, New York 1901, started end of 2011, beginning of 2012 in Houston, and the development took place during my posting in Houston.
Okay. People online actually are wanting to know, have you ever pitched another game before New York 1901?
No, I mentioned earlier when I was younger, I tried to create the modules for D&D that I would never finish. I remember starting to create a World War I Red Baron type of game. I had fun creating the board, but didn't have the discipline at the time to put in the year or two or three to work, these tight rules. So no, actually, New York 1901 is the first game that I pitched, and successfully.
Okay. Very cool. And I just wanted to ask you about why New York?
When I just set out to create my gateway game, and that was my intention. I wanted to create something for a family, and my family became the playtesting group. I've got records for about 160, 170 games just for our family that we played. I burned them out. So it had to be something that they would enjoy. So they enjoyed Ticket to Ride and all that. So I wanted a gateway game, and I wanted something with a bit of a historic setting. I didn't want a historic simulation because that's too heavy, but I wanted the setting in the background to be enjoyable, something you could get into. We enjoyed, the turn of the century trains. We enjoyed Turn-in Taxis, which is in Germany, and you get to see these little these Stadts, these provinces, German provinces. So I wanted something like that, with a bit of history, something you can get into. And of course, New York is sort of this fetish city that everybody knows, enjoys, generally, that evokes a whole bunch of images. So I wanted to play with that. And the Empire State, the Chrysler Building, the 30s or late 20s or 30s, a lot of people had done that before. But few people had gone back earlier to the turn of the century, and that's actually the first wave of skyscrapers. And they're beautiful. They're not as tall as the Empire State and the Chrysler, but the facades are very elaborate, and some of them ended up being, pretty tall. Like the Woolworth Building, which is in New York 1901, it was completed in 1913, and it was the tallest until the second wave of skyscrapers, where you had the Chrysler Building and the Empire State, and that eventually were taller than that one. But for a while, from 1913 to 1929, it was the tallest building in the world. And very few people, some people will know it, but not enough. But I thought it was just a beautiful period. And the turn of the century period evokes a whole bunch of images that is always pleasing. So I had this fetish city that resonates with pretty much everybody, a theme that people tend to enjoy, building little buildings, and an era that not that many people understand. Not many people knew well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Chenier, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you drop out of the feed right now, so there's a little
Hang up phone.
there, hang up your phone, but then come back. Come back to the
Come
link
right
that Daryl
back.
sent you.
Yeah.
And we'll start up again, and I think people will be able to see your picture because I can see Isaac in the YouTube feed now.
Yes.
And I asked him to do that just to check. Hey,
And as he said, don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years.
at least a couple. Isaac, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing quite well. Yeah, it's sort of funny to hear, all you Canadians talking about New York, which is the city I grew up in, and all these skyscrapers. I built those skyscrapers with my bare hands.
You built this city.
Yes, we built it on bedrock, actually,
Oh,
not
okay.
rock and roll, as
Okay.
it turns out. It was the bedrock. It was the bedrock. Yeah,
So,
guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How about you?
So good.
Yeah, it was game night. It was game night. So I'm fresh from a series of humiliating defeats.
Yeah, why don't you tell us what games were you playing while tonight?
I played. Let's see. There was Batman Love Letter.
Yeah.
There was King of Tokyo, and there was Liar's Dice.
Boom.
I
That's
literally
classic.
lost every single one of these games tonight. Every single one. But from circumstances, each one stranger than the next. So, like, if you if you ever get tired of hearing somebody's really bad beat story in
Yeah.
Texas Hold'em, just call me up. I'll tell you about that King of Tokyo game that just went down to 5 claws.
Oh, 5 claws. I love it. I love it. But those are the moments that everyone remembers too. So it's like you hate those moments, but you also love those moments.
It's funny. I was
true.
talking about that today. That I like Euro games better as a player, but I remember more instances of epic Americ type games where that one bad roll or that epic awesome roll where you killed like 20 Space Marines with your single orc or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
Well, but
I get it.
I think I know why it is, because I feel the same way. I love making Euro games, I love playing Euro games, but the memories and the talking is all about like the Ameritrash games, and I
Yeah.
think it's because when something unusual and exceptional happens in an Ameritrash game, it's usually random, and you're not a giant jerk for reliving it.
Yes.
Whereas in a Euro game, you were so much smarter, weren't you, you clever little jerk?
Could you imagine if people just constantly rubbed in how much in the Euro game? Like, man, I am just so superior in math to you.
Right, well, and you
that
can
sounds kind of like a German thing to do, though. I don't know.
Oh, I gotta jump back now that we got Chenier back here. I have to ask, and because when I saw some of the progression of the art for your game, I was super jealous because I am a big fan of, again, another name that I'll butcher, but Vincent Dutrat. I don't know. But could you tell me a little bit about what it was like to work with him and to get to see your game just be developed and created to look beautiful? Like, what was that experience like, and what was it like working with him and Blue Orange?
Well, it's a thrill. First of all, it was a privilege to be picked up by an established company that would do a great job with your game. And then when I heard who they were thinking of signing for the artwork, it was just, comblé is the word in French, and just extremely happy. The combination of Blue Orange and Vincent. How was it to work with them? I read about the relationship between a publisher and an author, and I've read many stories, and some of it can go from once they sign the game, you never hear from them, they'll never talk to you. But I rarely heard stories that they kept the author very involved. But actually, my case was they kept me fairly involved. Every time they were thinking of touching the mechanics, they would contact me. We were probably sending and receiving emails almost every day during the months of development with Blue Orange. And
That's amazing.
with Vincent, I didn't work directly with them. That happened through the product manager at Blue Orange, who would be, he's a control tower, and that makes sense. That's just normal. But of course he would feed me. This is the new artwork from Vincent, and of course I would get a huge thrill from seeing the world of New York 1901 come to life.
Sorry, I'm just going to show a couple pictures here. So this is part of the board. So you see the score track going around at the top there. And these are the type of blockist Tetris-like pieces that you were talking about. Can you go over, Chenier, a little bit of the mechanics of how the game plays?
Yes, what you see right now in front of you are the 6 bronze skyscrapers. Every player has a set of 18. They'll have 6 bronze 6 silver, and 6 gold. And there is a scoring track. And every time you place one of these skyscrapers, you score the number of points. You need to get the lots of land on the board before you can place them. So you accumulate lots, which allow you to place these little skyscrapers. And then to place one of these little 2s, you just need 1 lot of land. To place the 5, you would need 2. And when you reach a certain point on the score track, 6, when you can start building silver skyscrapers. And when you reach 18, you can start building gold skyscrapers. You can still build, bronze and silver, but you also, at 6, you can also build silver, and at 18, you can also build gold. So, and you can demolish over the things that you've built. And the trade-off is when you decide to demolish to build something over, you cannot acquire new land that turn. So that's the basic trade-off when you're making your calculations. So do I continue expanding to eventually demolish, or do I build and demolish right away, but I'm missing out on opportunities to acquire new land? And this, of course, you want to get them together to build bigger and bigger skyscrapers, but also you're fighting for control of streets of New York. And there are 5 main streets, of which 3 are in play every game. So it always varies. You're always concentrating on a different part of the board. And there's also an objective. There are 5 bonus objectives that reward you for accomplishing another thing. So there are 3 elements working at the same time. There's the basic demolition and construction of buildings for points, the control of streets, and the accomplishment of a bonus. So they balance each other. And it's depending on how your game is going or your personal strategy, you choose to opt to emphasize one over the other. But if you ignore one completely, you're going to have problems. So that's, in a nutshell, the mechanics of the game.
Was there anything during playtesting that you cut out that you really, wish that you had kind of left in there, but it didn't work? Or, anything you want to revisit?
Revisiting, I'm happy with the result as it is. I don't think I have regrets over mechanics that I left out. I did try many things. I mentioned earlier that right now you graduate basically to silver and to gold after 6 points in 18. Originally, the first version I had, if you built 3 bronze, you could then start building silver. And then if you built 3 silver, you could start building gold. But I preferred the point system because it gives you a bit more leeway. You can decide to level up by building only bronze or building only mostly silver. It gives you more choices, but that's an element that changed. I had a year track to keep track of the turns, but the developer said turns is something that's a bit heavy for the target clientele, which is a gateway crowd. So we decided to replace that with when the lots run out or when someone is left with only 4 skyscrapers in their hand. And when I submitted it to Blue Orange, I still had a turn, and that's how the game ended. It ended in It started in 1901, and it ended at the latest in 1918 or 1919.
Interesting.
So
yeah, actually, I want to kind of follow up. You mentioned Blue Orange was focused on the target demographic, and so was thinking through things like turns versus running out of bits, stuff like that. But also,
Yes.
I think this is very exciting. I don't recall any other Blue Orange games that are this size of box. This is a bigger box than what I think of for a lot of Blue Orange games. Can you tell us a little bit about like did they know they were going into like a bigger box when they saw your game, or like tell us like how you pitched them to do like a bigger game, or if they were already looking for that? Maybe some information around that.
Very good question. I can't talk for them, but I have an idea of
just
what
your
the situation
personal.
was.
Yeah.
I think they were looking. You're right. They had never published a big box game. There was always the little, and some of them were reasonably elaborate, but generally very simple.
Absolutely.
But very simple. They were looking for something a little different. They were looking for I think they were looking for their first big box game, and just waiting for the right product. And I pitched something that they liked, and I feel extremely lucky and privileged that they picked it up.
Very cool. So, what's next? Excuse me, sorry.
What's next?
Yeah, what's next from you in terms of games? Are you pitching to anybody actively? Are you designing anything else?
You mentioned that. If the game does reasonably well, I've got some maps here of another major U.S. city that I'd like to eventually see adapted to the same game system. And I've got another. Obviously, got the bug. I've got another map. Then that's not New York 1901. That's a different game that I'm working on. So the bug was always in me, but now it's bitten me big time. So I'm always working on something. I'm not at the point where I can pitch that yet. I made a few mistakes with New York 1901. I pitched it a bit too early in the development to other people, and it was not ready. I'm not going to make that same mistake again. I'm going to wait until it's ready to show it this time.
I actually wanted to ask you another question. So, have you played any? Did you play a lot of other games that were similar in theme, city building games, when you decided to go for this type of game? What was your inspiration? Getting lots, building buildings. Where did that come from?
Good question. A lot of the inspiration I mentioned some of the famous gateway games that I did get inspiration from. Not necessarily from the mechanics, but from the simplicity sometimes. Ticket to Ride was one. But obviously you're not building buildings, or you're not accumulating lots, so it's a bit different. Blockus was obviously an inspiration, but I did not feel the freedom to make these Blockus-like or Tetris-like shapes until I discovered that there were actually buildings like that in New York, because the lots were very small, and then you had a real estate holdout, and they had to build around it, and they made very weirdly shaped buildings.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And that gave me the freedom to use those buildings. Until then, with the first prototypes that I made, all the buildings were very square or rectangular. And then I got the freedom, and then I said, okay, I've got the freedom to go Tetris on this. And because I had buildings to base them on.
Yeah, so your theme informed the mechanics. Did you ever play Big City?
No, I haven't. No.
It's out of print, but you should give it a shot when you get a chance.
Very interesting. Yeah, totally.
Note of that.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game thinking, oh, this is awesome.
That's why I'm excited, because I love Big City, and this game looks like it has some similarities, so I'm very excited about that.
Someone
Not a bad
mentioned
way.
Vegas at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, potentially similar. Hey, John, do you got one more question to ask our good friend Chenier?
Yeah. Do you have any tips for new designers?
Yes. First of all, you love what you do. Do not count the hours. Don't take the first rejections too personally. You will have to learn what to, and you've probably heard it from other people, learn the advice that you heed and the one that you politely ignore. You don't have to tell the person that you're ignoring it. But that distinction is very important. Not everything that you're going to hear makes sense, and sometimes you'll hear criticism that you know is wrong, and just be polite, stay cool, and move on. But make sure that everything that people tell you register. Be tenacious. Don't show it until it's ready. It almost cost me, and it ended up working out. And that's it. That's about it.
And
test.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Great advice there. So we really appreciate, Chenier, you squeezing us in. Just so that our viewers know, we asked you so last minute, and yet you graciously came onto the show, and we're really excited. Your game is one of the ones I'm very quickly, if even there's one copy at Origins to test or anything, you're on the top of my list of games that I want to try. So I was very thankful that you were willing to pop onto the show. So yeah, thank you for being on. I know you had to get going, so we'll let you go at this point, because we got to talk Origins, and already the show's half over, so we got to jump into that. I'm sure our viewers have a whole bunch more questions, so if people have questions, feel free to send them in, and we can pass them on or share on Facebook or on Twitter, and keep the conversation going. So this doesn't have to be the end of the conversation, just a springboard.
think of it as a beginning. And also because Chenier is a public servant of the Canadian government, and I am Canadian and Daryl's Canadian, he is bound by law to answer our questions.
Absolutely.
It's
Wow. Wow. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
true. Okay, merci bien. We'll see you later.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
and I got to highlight our guest now, Isaac Shalif, who has been patiently hanging out with us. He is one of the two people in this conversation who has actually been to Origins. And Sen and I didn't think it would probably make much sense for the two of us to do a preview show about something that we've never been to. So we can talk about what we're looking forward to, but we thought we'd have a couple friends on to pass some actual wisdom and advice and experience along. So I'm going to go straight to Isaac. What's Origins like?
Wow, what's Origins like? Origins is a great convention if you're looking for something that's got a lot of size to it, got a lot of designers and a lot of publishers and big, vendor hall and so forth, but is really much more focused on tabletop rather than Gen Con, which is, I guess, about 5 times bigger, just to give you a sense of size, something like 5 times bigger, and has, every corner of geek and nerdery represented. I think Origins is a bit more tightly focused.
Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Origins tends to be a little bit more laid back. It's a convention I go more. I go there a little bit for work and to pitch and talk with publishers, but I also spend a lot of time just hanging out with other designers, hanging out with my friends. Just really enjoying my time there. It's definitely a lot smaller crowd, which is nice. But you don't get the big releases and stuff. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I am sad that there's not like Gen Con. Oh my goodness, there's so many games coming out. Like my list of what to check out. Like I had this crazy thing, and I had to map out like how am I going to get from here to here fast enough to pick up my copy. All that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that. But
set your priorities.
Yeah, exactly. If I don't get this game, but I get this game, I won't cry. But this one, I'm really looking forward to just getting to play a lot of games and see friends, and it's hard working when you get to share the table with a bunch of friends and catch up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going just because I've never been. I don't know if I've ever even been to Ohio. I know Jonathan's like, what? What? The other thing that I'm really interested in is Daryl and I are big foodies. We like to eat.
Oh, yeah.
And we've heard some good things about the Columbus area. So,
that's a good
Jonathan,
question. Some restaurant advice. What do you guys say?
Restaurant advice.
First, I've heard rumors about Melt.
Melt.
That's gotta be a definite stop for us. I think we need to plan a dinner out there at Melt. It's pretty fantastic.
So tell us what it is. Like what?
So it's a grilled cheese restaurant. Like everything on the menu is some kind of variation on a grilled cheese. And they're luxurious grilled cheese sandwiches. They're just fantastic.
So you're saying I should take my Lactaid that day?
Yes.
What else? What else you got, Isaac?
Well, I mean, there's the North Market, I think it's called, which is a giant kind of sprawling market where you've got basically any kind of food your heart desires, all cheek to jowl. So you can get yourself a pierogi and a sausage here, and get yourself some sushi over there, and finish it all off with some fresh churn ice cream. It's a lot of fun, and it's full of hustle and bustle. And when you come outside to the tables, inevitably you're going to sit down and connect with other convention goers and make new friends. It's a great experience and really great food.
Yeah, North Market is a definite stop.
Yeah.
Now, are we talking like food truck chaos of Gen Con, or is like restaurants like they're bearable? Like what's it like?
North Market's pretty crazy, especially at lunch.
Yeah, North Market's crazy. Barley's is pretty crazy. Barley's is sort of probably if anyone talks about getting pub food or going out to the bar, they'll talk about going to Barley's, and that gets a little bit insane. But it's a smaller con, and if you just wait until about 2 p.m., you pretty much have the run of the place.
Yeah.
Good advice there. Good advice there.
Yeah, we have a lot of our interviews scheduled for 1 o'clock, so maybe we'll just hit lunch after that. Badges. What badges do we need to get? What is a must-have badge to get? To
I don't even fully
get
get these badges.
We don't. We're Canadian. We don't need no stinking badges.
And ribbons.
Yeah, so they're ribbons, right? Like you get all the different ribbons for your badge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they get stuck on your badge?
Yeah. Is it like am I gonna be able to fit them, or is it like general style?
Yeah, they're general style. They're
That'd be
like
so cool.
sticker to each other, and you have like a big tail of ribbons coming off your badge.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to confess that I've only ever purchased one of these ribbons, which is the boardroom ribbon. And that's more out of I don't know if I would buy that ribbon if I were just coming to play games, but as a designer who's pitching publishers, a lot of them actually have meetings over in sort of this boardroom area.
Ooh.
It's not actually a room, or at least it wasn't last year. It was more of sort of an open area that had some kind of like velvet rope. To be honest, you probably could have just walked in. It wasn't
fancy. That's a fancy sounding ribbon.
Yeah,
I know they changed the policy in the boardroom last year. You only needed the ribbon if you were going to rent games from the library.
Right. So, and I don't know how it is this year. Honestly, I just went and got a ribbon because I love Origins and I love the show, and here's my $20 and thank you.
That makes sense.
Which I get a press pass, so that's really my only cost in terms of the convention. So I feel.
Let's go down that route then, because that's another thing. Sen and I got a press pass. What's the that like? Like, tell us a little bit of behind the curtain. Because I've always, for other events, never been press, and so been always curious. The fancy press room. What's going on in there?
There's not too much going on in the press room. There's some light refreshments. That's the big perk. It's nice to have a place that you can kind of sit down at that is not part of the crush. And if you're waiting for someone or meeting someone to be able to say, oh yeah, just come to the press room. So that's kind of helpful.
Yeah, that's been nice to say. We feel like bigwigs when we're like, oh yeah, we'll meet you at press room.
We'll bring you to the press room. Yeah.
Right. I mean, to be fair, 99 out of the 100 press badges out there are, folks like us who will run a YouTube show or do a podcast. There's not a lot of New York Times reporters running around the place. So it's kind of.
There's not?
I was hoping to meet them.
No, they only send about 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
The press room, I don't know. What I do like about being press more than the convention itself is prior to the convention, you get press releases. I don't know if you guys have been getting those as well.
Yeah, we have. They've been awesome.
They've been pretty cool, yeah. It's nice to see them.
So it's kind of cool because, again, as designers, when we think about, making sell sheets and when we think about how we publicize ourselves, it's great to see the other side of the industry and see how publishers are setting the bar. So you kind of know what you're trying to match up against. You kind of know what the standard is like for when they're putting stuff out, and it makes it, gives you a sense of what to shoot for.
Yeah, a really interesting point. Actually, Sen and I have, mostly Sen, to be honest, because I've been gallivanting around the world. And Sen has been the responsible one back home answering these emails. But we've been getting these emails, and it's really actually, I'm very excited about some of the people we're meeting with. I'm wondering, Sen, do you have or remember some of the different publishers or people that we're going to be meeting, and then our viewers can look forward to this because these are some of the interviews that
well, one of the ones that I'm really interested in, because I like kids games, I'm a pediatric therapist, so that's what I do. Yeah, we're going to be meeting with Haba, or however they pronounce it. So,
I don't know how they pronounce it, but Nerd Nighters did a whole episode on Haba tonight that I'm going to go back and watch because I'm really excited.
So that should be question number 1 when you interview him.
Is what? Did you like
how to pronounce it?
Oh yes. So
and then I'll butcher it.
Yeah, and you should go check out the On Board Games episode where we had Leah Culleton on, so that you can practice both saying Haba and Leah Culleton.
Yes. Okay. Because Leah will be on the show.
I'll be practicing.
Leah Culleton, Haba, Leah Culleton, Haba, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Okay, Haba. It was like Hush and Friends, which is pretty funny.
It rhymes with Rabba if you're from Boston.
I am not from Boston. Oh, so yeah, they'll be on. We're talking to Andrew Federspiel, which is kind of funny because his last name has Spiel in it. Knapsack Games. I think Larry Rosnai, Mayfair. Who else? Jordan Goddard. It's going to be his first time there, and we're going to follow him around a bit.
Oh yeah, tell about the pitch thing that we're doing.
Oh, that's with Ian Zhang, and perhaps if Jordan and his wife submit to us as well, not submit, but like allow us to do this. Tell
the other one, the person that's letting us do it.
Yeah, it's Ian Zhang. We're going to be basically filming him pitching during the publisher speed dating.
Well, no, first,
exactly. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. We're going to meet up with him the night before, play his game, talk to him about his pitch, give him some advice, and then train him like as if he was like a fighter. Rocky. And we're going to go in the ring with him.
I'm going to make him run stairs.
I'm going to make him punch the sides of beef. You know if there's any beef sides? Like any meat lockers in Oregon?
I think it would be funnier if you had like those like steak meeples, you know, and you had.
Good one. Yes.
Good one. Yes. I like that. Yeah. So and then we're going to give him whatever advice we can, follow him around the pitching, and hopefully he does well. I've read the rules for his game. Seems pretty fun, and I think Jordan and his wife are also up for that as well. If we have some time to do that with them, we might be able to get two types of things going on at once. We're also meeting with a bunch of other people. So some people just contacted us out of the blue saying, we love your show.
Sen puts on Facebook, hey, we're going. Anybody want to be on the show?
Yeah. I mean, why not,
one
right?
Or two or 90 people say, sure. So I'm totally excited and have no idea what's going to happen at Origins. So it's going to be amazing.
But it'll be fun, right? Because it's... we learned a lot from our first foray into doing it at a convention with gathering of friends. We're actually, friends with a lot of the people there. These are people we don't really know, and it's going to be a little bit different. And they're not going to be the big names that we got at gathering, but I think it's going to be real. And it's going to be not that the other ones weren't, but it's going to be real and on floor level, and just a little more live. We might not be able to, depending on how the internet connections are there, we might not be able to get it live exactly as it's happening, but we're going to try to upload as soon as we can. Isaac, did you ever do anything from the actual convention and upload it or stream it?
I did not stream anything live. I did record at a few conventions. Last year, I was not doing on board games as I am now, so this is my first Origins with on board games, and Stephanie Straw and I are going to be prowling the convention. We've got our gear, we've got our recorders. Now we don't do video, but we are thinking of doing maybe a little bit of video. There's a couple of events that we've been invited to. We were thinking of maybe doing a little bit of experimenting, seeing as we have these crazy phones that do video. And they're pretty good.
You should do some Meerkat or Periscope stuff or something.
So I just downloaded Periscope, and I was thinking about streaming a pitch. It's nice. And I'm probably inevitably going to run into a publisher or two that maybe has already seen some of the stuff that I've brought or whatever it is, and so maybe we'll just take advantage of those few minutes to do a little Periscope, play with it a little.
Periscope, right there.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So some advice. I mean, we got about 10 minutes left of the show. I got to go to Gilmore here. What do you think you got to do Origins right?
To do Origins right, you definitely need to eat an obscene amount of Jenny's ice cream.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Yeah.
I've heard about that. I'm actually looking through my list. Like, people are telling me about Rodizio and brunch at Rodizio, breakfast at Drury Inn, and BD's Mongolian barbecue, and all this stuff, man.
No, BD's is a chain. Just, alternate between Mel and Jenny's, and you'll be fine.
All right. I'm just gonna follow you around, John. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Can you be my spiritual guide?
Absolutely.
All right. So what else should we know? So we got badges, or sorry, ribbons. We've got food. We're staying at the Holiday Inn, which is just a little bit of a hike
A little
away.
bit of a trek. A little bit of a trek. Any
but,
tips on parking?
Yeah.
Park at the hotel. Walk.
Yeah. Parking can be crazy. My very first year at Gen Con, and found my first year at Origins, we found a nice parking lot like 4 or 5 lots away that was like $10 a day, but I think they've torn that down. So everything else is like $25 a day.
From Holiday Inn. That's what you're saying.
I'll just point out that Columbus, Ohio, does have Uber. So you might want to try that. However, unfortunately, it no longer has Lyft. So their options will be more limited, but Uber may be competitive with parking your car.
I think actually we have Peter Vaughn, who was on our show last week, is staying at the Holiday Inn with us, and he has a car.
Yeah, he talked about maybe figuring out some kind of carpool. So
yeah, so I'm
we'll have a shuttle
to pay for parking.
Yeah.
It would be more convenient if he transformed into a car.
Oh,
that would be awesome.
Imagine, or he made a board game that drove us there.
Yes, that would be pretty darn cool, because then we wouldn't have to pay for parking, and we'd be inside of Peter.
I didn't realize this was the Meeple Syrup After Dark show already.
We're getting close to the late show, so...
Speaking of which, actually, Daryl, see, now I'm looking at the things. John, have you ever done the After Dark, the Origins After Dark ribbon? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, that's the other ribbon that I was going to say that people should pick up, because that gets you to the unpub area.
Do you need that one to get into the unpub area? Because I did not have that one
I think
last
that's what I read. I mean, last year I just kind of walked through places like I knew where I was going, and that'll get you through.
So really, that's the
places
tip.
that you're not supposed
confident.
to be.
Yeah, it's funny that you should say so, because I had no idea that there was restricted access, and I spent most of my time by the Blue Noodle, which is the giant pool noodle that you'll see, and that's the unpub area. And, no one ever stopped me. I suppose if I get stopped now, I'll just flash my press badge and be like, I have
There you go.
I don't know, that should work.
It's a nice rule breaker.
Right, it's like, I really hope you guys all get fedoras and put your press badge in it.
Oh, now you're talking.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know. That's like cosplaying a press guy. I don't know if that's like actually being a press guy.
No, I think that's exactly it. You get the flip pad of paper and you lick your pencil a lot.
Oh, I would totally get like a newsy cap. I don't know about a fedora. Asians and fedoras? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's how you do the news, son.
Okay.
This isn't New York 1901. This is Columbus 2015. I think you just have like a cluster of smart devices in your hand. You should pass.
Yeah, just lots of smartphones, and they're just juggling them all the time.
Oh, serious tip, real tip. If you don't want to screw up your interviewing and streaming and recording, or just being able to be found on Twitter, is you're going to need to get yourself one of these. This is a battery pack. This charges my phone about 3 times over. Yeah. Get one of these.
Yeah.
What brand is that? Not that they're going to sponsor us or anything, but...
This one is an Avido, A-V-I-D-O, and I think it was about $20 on Amazon. And I recommend
20 American bucks? That's like...
yeah, that's 20 American. I don't know how that is in loonies.
That's like 20 million
4,000. 40,000 million Canadian. Daryl, we need to get American money. There's another thing we got to do.
I actually have a little bit left from my trip, so...
I have a ton left.
Oh, and I got paid by R&R. I gotta use my US.
There you go.
You should be aware that here we call them greenbacks, and nobody will know what you're talking about if you ask for dollars.
Dollars.
Yep.
Really?
Well, and then when I was in Europe, I kept saying dollars, and they're like, "It's euros." But I'd say dollars.
Other questions that we have. What else is there to do in Columbus, Ohio, other than eat and game? Just in case we, wanted some other diversions of some sort.
Anything?
There are some fantastic museums down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
About what? What kind of museums, John?
I believe there's a science and an art museum.
And board game museum and eating museum?
What's that?
A board game
Museum of food
museum
and board
an
games?
eating museum.
Yes. I know last year the art museum was running the Star Wars exhibit like at the same time.
Oh, cool. Well, that would
smart.
be appropriate. They'd get a lot of people there. Maybe we should look into that, Daryl, see what else there is to do. Oh, I know that Jonathan was on that thread, and I don't know if Daryl and Isaac were on, but I think we're going to plan to do a kind of a designer guild meetup type thing, and I think Jonathan had suggested Melt as the place to go. So if you're watching and you're at
Obviously,
Origins and you want to join up with us, we'll be at Melt some night, and we'll
What
tweet it
night?
out.
Do we pick a night?
God, no. That would be like organization.
Yeah, that's like one.
We could pick one now.
Oh, I don't know if
We'll know.
I don't know if the Council of Four can really do that. I'm not sure if we have quorum.
Well, clearly we don't have quorum, but
Yeah.
we could act like we have quorum.
We do it all the time. Oh, and by the way, Suzanne said no to fedoras. He said, women of the world will thank you if you do not wear fedoras.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you, Suze. Suze always is looking out for us.
yeah, she's her best.
Well,
I'll be wearing my beautiful Toy Vault hat
Because
and,
we are contractually obligated to do so.
every other day, and then maybe I'll have my little like Cthulhu baby with me.
That, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
a very similar one last time. I think it was a Gen Con purchase. But I want Suzanne to weigh in again, and maybe provide us some recommended.
Okay, so Suzanne, what kind of hats should we wear, if any?
Yeah.
I think she's
Obviously,
just worried
I
that
have to wear
fedoras
that.
are edging in dangerously close to vest territory,
Oh,
and she has the vest game locked down.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Locked down.
Well,
She's
no,
like-
but a good, if we're looking for a sartorial tip, is cargo pants. Cargo pants. You got to have lots of pockets. You got to be
Pockets?
comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Don't wear
Cargo
jeans.
pants.
You're gonna sweat in those jeans.
Shorts.
You don't want that.
What
Shorts.
about shorts?
I'm not a shorts guy because I'm a skinny guy and I get cold,
Mm.
so I wear the longs. But if you're hot-blooded, go
Yep.
for the shorts.
I got a little added padding, so I'm gonna be warm.
Daryl always wears shorts. It's a Canadian wear shorts in winter type guy. Kind of weird. But
Yeah. A good backpack and a water bottle is important too, because you're gonna pay like
Yeah.
$1 billion a bottle for any kind of drink.
Water bottle, massive tip.
nice.
That's huge.
I might actually get a Camelback so that I can drink while playing games with two hands.
Well, that's
Yeah,
serious.
that might be one too far.
Yeah. Well, then
I've
you
been
can
known
hook
to go
that
too
up.
far.
You can use that for other purposes if you don't want to leave the table too.
Indeed.
Ew.
Flasks are, if you're gonna engage in illicit drinking, you may as well bring a flask.
Yeah. Has there been a few flasks to show up?
I can't say what does or doesn't happen at Origins After Dark unless you are, in fact, a badge holder.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you have to have the After Dark ribbon to know about those types of things.
Got it.
Right.
Got it. We'll look into that ribbon.
And Suzanne, again, looking out for our better health because she likes us and she wants us to live longer, I suspect, and because she's a mom, and it is to bring a lot of Purell, copious amounts of Purell. I actually have one tied to my water bottle that I have my badges stuck to.
Yeah.
Just to make everything all together. So if I ever lose that, I'm shot.
That's a good tip.
Is there anything you guys are looking forward to at Origins that Daryl and I might not know about that we should actually be zoned in on?
Well, I mean, if I list my want list, then that means more people are going to be looking for the things that I want, right?
Well, not necessarily games
No.
or products that are limited. I mean
No
events.
one's listening right now.
Okay, great.
Let's share it.
I mean, Spyfall might be there.
Yes. Oh, that's super high on my list.
Yeah, Spyfall,
Cryptozoic.
Cryptozoic, and Spyfall.
The Catacombs
honestly, do you
reprint,
think
they may
it's gonna
have
be for
copies
sale?
of that.
Do you think Spyfall will be for sale?
The Origins preview said maybe.
Nice. And Catacombs. Oh, by the way, another Canadian product.
Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Hammertown people, my old stomping grounds.
Oh, really? Didn't know that.
Post-Human's going to be for preview, I think, and that was a big Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I'm
That's,
excited to try that.
Sean did that, and I backed it, so I'd like to see it. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to stop and play that. Dark Moon, which was a print and play game called BSG Express.
Evan Derrick, big fan of it. I got to play that at a gathering, and it was awesome.
Now is Evan going to be at Origins?
He
Does
never
anyone know?
replied to me. I wrote him asking if he was going.
That bastard. Rat
Hopefully.
bastard. No,
Hopefully.
because I owe him a play of that game like 17 times over, and I really
Dude,
want to play it. It was
You
just
missed out. It was
I know,
awesome.
I know.
It was awesome.
I'm very sad. What other games are you looking at, or events, or anything like that, John?
Events-wise, I usually don't do many. I'm excited to see, and I think there's going to be copies of the Battle Merchants expansion, which is a fantastic game.
Yeah, from
Gil
Gil.
Hova, yeah. Let's see. Definitely want to stop at the Habba booth and see what they brought with them.
Mm-hmm.
There may be copies of Chaosmos there, and I'm excited about that one.
Well, Joey should be there. He's saying he's going to be there, so I'm sure he'll bring it along with him.
Yeah. Z-Man's going to possibly have Abertra What?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about.
Yeah,
I'm
it's an
curious
interesting
about
game.
that.
You didn't get to play it at the gathering, John?
No, I did not. I didn't even see it.
Oh, it's cool. It's like Hanabi-ish-esque.
Yeah, I'm like, I knew of it, but I never saw it at gathering. And then people were talking about it. I was like, I totally missed that.
I don't know. I'm not sure when it left, to be honest. I don't know if it left with Zev and the crew, but who knows? How about you, Isaac? What are you looking forward to?
Man, I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time at the Eagle Griffin booth, where I will be demoing games and running. Well, it's not really demoing games; it's all scheduled events, but basically
Scheduled events, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing about Origins is that there's a lot of scheduled events and relatively fewer demos as compared to Gen Con, where you get a lot of demos. The vendor hall is really more about sales than demos. But if you manage to wade through the giant Excel file that is the Origins event grid, you'll find that there's
intimidating.
It really is, and it's a shame because there's a lot of great stuff going on, and it's hard to discover. Get some generic tickets so that you can jump in on stuff. 9 times out of 10, well, maybe that's a bit much, but 7 times out of 10, somebody doesn't show up for something, and there's a spot. Sure. And one thing you got to remember is that the publishers are collecting all of those tickets and all of those reservations and turning them into Origins. And Origins, based on that, is going to give you space next year, right? So Gamma, that runs the show, looks and sees, because they want to make sure that the publishers who are attracting the most people and who are running the most exciting events get rewarded with more space, and the folks who haven't got it together maybe get a smaller booth to try again next year. So as somebody who runs a booth, I want to take as many of these tickets as I can. So if there's a missing space and there's somebody with a generic, I'm trying to wrangle that person in. So if you're, looking for something to do and you've got some generics, you will find something to do and it'll be fun.
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
Good to know, because we don't have any of that planned yet. We've just got a bunch of interviews.
We were going to freestyle it.
Yeah, we're just going to hang loose.
If you do that, what I recommend that you do is get your generics, order them now so that you can pick them up in your packet. You have to cash them in Sunday, no later than Sunday, in order to get any of them back that you have left over. What I'll actually do is I'll cash them in on Saturday afternoon. That's a better, because there's no line really to deal with it then.
Right.
And Sunday is Sunday, because it's winding down. It's pretty easy to sort of jump into stuff, and people are a little bit looser and so on. And I like to do the last circle of the vendor hall on Sunday anyway. So, generics are don't miss out. You're gonna find some events, and you're gonna be like, who's got extra generics? I've got $2. I'll give you $5. So order them now.
Okay, cool. What are you showing at Eagle Griffin?
Wow, we've got all kinds of games that we're showing. Baseball Highlights 2045 is Mike Fitzgerald's big baseball release.
Yeah.
Really awesome game. It took somebody coming in and saying, look, we get that baseball is a game that has rules, but if you want to make it a board game, you've got to take it from a whole different angle. And,
Yep.
and it's amazing how much it feels like baseball, even though
Yeah.
there aren't really innings and there aren't really 3 outs. And it's a great game. So, baseball has 23.
Will you have 12 Days of Christmas?
I'm not sure. I don't think we have scheduled events for 12 Days of Christmas. We may have it to take a look at, but I don't think we're running any events for it.
Because that's a friend of ours, Gord Hamilton. Got to give a shout out for him.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and he did King's Kilts as well.
Yeah.
From that whole line that also included Eggs and Empire by Matt and Ben, Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback, and we're going to have Clockwork Wars, which was a Kickstarter. So we're actually going to have the designers for that.
Hassan Lopez, is that
Hassan,
right?
Yeah, Hassan and Kareem are both going to be by. So you get a chance to meet with the designer, play with the designer. That's going to be a good time. And all kinds of other stuff. Eagle and Griffin has been crazy the last year, just knocking games out. Monsoon Market was a big Kickstarter. We're not going to have that ready to play. Also, this is a special gem. Not a lot of people have heard about this game, and I want the audience to check this one out. This one is under the radar, but one of the most spectacular games I've played in the last 3 years. It's called Rococo. Rococo. It's a worker placement game about making dresses, and it's hand management, and it's just a really beautifully put together Euro game that everyone's got to check out. Very limited run, and if you're going to buy it somewhere, buy it at Origins where you won't have to pay obscene shipping.
Actually, that's a great tip. I might actually buy a copy of Rococo there. I love that.
Do they have copies over there?
Yes, there will be copies of Rococo for sale at Origins.
Yeah, it's a hard game to find. I actually have a bunch of expansions. If I think of it, I'll bring. They're just like a few extra dresses or whatever or something that I got sent from Eggertspiel.
Yeah, and we'll usually have those in stock.
For games,
awesome. Yeah, for games like Francis Drake is another one that has a bunch of those little promos and mini expansions. So you should come check that one out as well. Cool. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff going on in Eagle Griffin, and pretty much the rest of my time I'm, either interviewing people or talking to publishers and showing them games, or kicking back at the old Blue Noodle and hanging out with fellow designers.
The old Blue Noodle. Somebody was asking today on Twitter maybe or somewhere what the origin of the Blue Noodle is. Do you know what the origin of the Blue Noodle is, or do I have to ask Daryl or somebody?
It's probably better to ask Daryl. I'm familiar with the Blue Noodle simply as, just something that was brought because it's tall and easy to spot from far away, and so you can just, put it on a stand on a table and then, everyone can see it from afar. But I don't know if there's a more sort of nefarious or interesting origin story to it.
Well,
John,
or people should make different origin stories up and circulate them.
Yes, we should make a game out of that. The origins of the Blue Noodle. Well, guys, it's 10 after 9. Daryl, what do you want to do? Do you want to just keep talking?
Let's go for a few more minutes and then just wrap and not do an after show.
Okay.
I mean, I see Isaac's already got the drinks going, so that's a good sign.
This is a woodchuck cider.
Oh,
which
I love woodchuck.
Yeah, this one is the Hop Station. It's a hop forward cider.
Oh.
I was very intrigued by it, but I thought, well, I could probably stand it if you put it in my apple cider.
Yeah.
And, it turns
talking
out
drinks.
Oh.
What a perfect person to jump in while we're talking about alcoholic beverages. But the one and the only, Dylan Kirk. Yes, that's right. Our show doesn't come with one spy. It comes with 2 Canadian diplomats.
Dylan, I don't know if you know this, Dylan, but Chenier LaSalle is originally from Montreal. He's a diplomat in Houston. He's the guy who's responsible for the game New York 1901.
Excellent.
And he's coming back to Ottawa sometime this summer, so maybe you guys should link up at some kind of spy meeting thing.
I think they know each other. I'm sure they've done some.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
And a wink, wink. And
I'm not convinced they're not the same person.
Yeah, I think it's a little convenient that he's coming to Ottawa this summer.
Yeah.
No, don't tell him where we are. If he knows where the location is, he wins.
Yes. Too funny.
To
So,
think I'm
Dylan-
leaving this summer anyway. Oh, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Go ahead. Let's not talk about spy things. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
You kind of look like Obi-Wan in
Yeah.
a younger Obi-Wan when Ewan McGregor was playing him.
It's kind of like you're ready for the J.J. Abrams.
Awesome.
This is hilarious. Suzanne, just so you know, just wrote, "It was like the booze literally siren called him to the show."
I wouldn't know anything about that.
That's right. So, Dylan, what can you
Yes.
tell us about what you were just doing on well, that sounds a little weird, but on the phone, I mean. Is there anything you can say?
I was having a 2-hour discussion with people all over the place on narrative direction for the game that we're working on with Directive Games. So as usual in any type of game, in any type of medium, you're always talking about integration of narrative and mechanic, and that's really where we're finding ourselves a lot of the time. And I find
We hope you are.
Yes,
hope you're talking about
exactly. Well, that's what I really want to talk about is integrating, theme and mechanic. But yeah, deeply interesting working with other creatives, and especially when we're used to being kind of lone wolves and just doing whatever the heck we want, and having to take the ideas of other people and integrate it is actually a really interesting and a really humbling experience. It's worthwhile for anyone to try.
Can you tell us at all what the name of the product is that you're working on? I know it's a video game thing, not a board game
It is
thing,
a
but just
video game thing, and I don't think it's been brought out of cloak yet. So
Okay.
we're designing a game, and it's going to be new and fan-dangled and awesome. And
Awesome.
We'll
It's-
release information when we're allowed. Dylan will
beauty.
tell us when we're allowed to talk about it. But I have to jump off of the transition of you talking about Lone Wolves. One of our wonderful sponsors, Foxtrot Games, will be offering the 4 Lanterns promo tiles at Origins. And
very
friend
cool.
of the show, Christopher Chung, and sponsors Foxtrot, and another sponsor of ours is Renegade Games. They partnered together with Lanterns. That's a game we really believe in, and it was one of our first shows, actually, I think, thinking back, was with Chris Chung talking about Lanterns. So people, be sure to check out their booth. And I also want to mention another one of our sponsors at Origins, Gamelin Games. They'll be previewing before their Kickstarter that comes up, the Tiny Epic Hero or Epic Kingdoms Heroes Call. So, a couple sponsors that have some stuff going on at Origins.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking to do some interviews with our sponsors, hopefully get them on camera, get them some press. Broken Token will be there with all their really cool products. So we'll see them in their booth, and we'll check that out and get some video with them. I've been meaning to interview them for a long time, so
Yeah,
get that
really looking
published
forward to that.
face-to-face.
R&R Games, which I have to give a shout out for. Hopefully, Caffeine Rush will be there, and I'm really excited about that. Ad Magic, another one of our sponsors, they're going to be there, and actually with a pretty awesome size-looking booth with like Twerk and of a bunch of their games, like partnerships.
Letter Tycoon.
Letter Tycoon,
which looks awesome.
Is partnered with Squirmy
Beast.
Beast. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's continue on this whole Origins trail and Origins of Origins and things like that. What should we avoid? Is there anything to avoid that we shouldn't do? That we like
What
people?
dark alley would we find Dylan Kirk in?
Yes.
Don't eat the shellfish.
Okay.
I mean, the food inside the convention, although if you've been to any convention center, you probably already know that. But there's no need for it. There's so much good food right around. Just don't, take the time, step outside for a minute, get yourself a decent meal.
Good. Jonathan, any advice for first-time Originites, such as myself and your other brother?
I mean, as far as general advice, and this is for everybody attending cons, no matter which one, everybody needs to follow the 6-2-1 rule.
That's right.
It always bears mentioning. And that's at least 6 hours of sleep a night, at least 2 meals a day, and at least 1 shower a day.
You know, it's funny, John, because every year that you talk about that rule, that first number gets bigger. So I remember when it was the 3-2-1 rule.
I don't follow the 6 part of it. That's optional, but I don't sleep 6 hours a night as it is, so
Yeah.
no sense to do it at a convention.
I was just gonna say that is a luxury that I don't think Sen has ever had. 6 hours sleep.
Screw that.
It sounds lovely in the same way that sort of the siren's call sounds lovely, but it's that way danger lies. Can't sleep that many hours. Get addicted to that.
Yeah. If I sleep more than 4 hours, I wake up really grumpy. You wouldn't like to see me when I'm grumpy. Grumpy Asians are bad. Grumpy Asians are really bad, right, Dylan?
I wouldn't know anything about that, Sen.
Oh, so
Yes.
I have
What?
a Gen Con hack, and I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to apply it to Origins too. Okay,
Okay.
so this is my big Gen Con hack because my number is 4-2-1. I do 4 hours of sleep, and it's usually from about 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. is when I get my sleep, and by 8 a.m. I need to be at a booth. Right, I'm demoing, I'm running booth. So at Gen Con, what I'll do is I'll hop online and I will order breakfast online.
Oh, well played.
And then you just walk in. It's a Panera Bread is my restaurant of choice at Gen Con.
Nice.
And and then you just walk right in past a long line of very grumpy, surly, and undercaffeinated gamers, and you grab your stuff and you walk out, or even sit at a table and eat and drink and look at that same surly line of undercaffeinated gamers walking past you. It's really it's. I mean, you feel a little bit like a jerk, but also you feel great. So, like Tony the Tiger.
That's the New York you, man. I don't know if Canadians can do that. I don't know. We have to say I'm sorry to every single
We'll say
person.
sorry.
Did you want a piece of my sausage? Did you want to? Yeah.
Whoa, that might mean something else.
Yeah.
I gotta find a Columbus, convention adjacent restaurant that's taking online orders. That's my hack for this convention.
Well, I know definitely Jimmy John's will deliver for lunch and supper.
Lunch and supper though, that's hours away.
Well, that's good tips.
Hours
That's a
Yeah, you know
good
what?
tip.
I've actually had restaurants tweet me back in Columbus saying, "Hey, you got to come to our restaurant." So maybe I can ask them to up their food game.
Yeah.
And
I want free
hey,
samples
you can
or delivery.
or yeah, if you can take our order early and have it ready for us at 8 o'clock, we'll.
I
come to
love
your
it.
restaurant. I don't know. What do you think? Should we flex the mighty muscle? That's not really that mighty, but
I was just gonna say, I don't think we're really.
maple syrup muscle.
I assume that tickets to that gun show are free.
Nice.
I'll bring some maple syrup.
Yeah. I'm actually not interested. Free food is wonderful, but I'm more than happy with paying for it. I just don't like waiting for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, especially that early in the morning. Any other things that we'd like to do at Origins, or that we should be doing at Origins? I don't know. What else is there?
Well, I'm looking for another game. I'm looking forward to. I don't know if this is on anyone else's radar. And it's from Rio Grande Games. Is Mogul? Has anyone heard
what
of
is
that?
it? No, what is it?
It's a Michael Stack game.
Oh, well, then I am interested because I like Shack stuff. So
I love his stuff. It's a 45-minute economic train game. Totally curious, and it's debuting at Origins. So that one was one
crazy
where,
interessant.
yeah, it was. I feel like under a lot of people's radar, and yet it's like big publisher, big designer, and nobody knows anything about it.
Well
Who's
then,
publisher?
now the way to go.
Yeah, Rio Grande.
RGG baby.
I've heard of them.
They do some games and things. Is there anything else coming out that we need to know of, or I'm not sure. I don't really follow the list that heavily, to be completely honest. I like to go and be surprised. So if I make, it's okay. But if I make my expectations and I don't get to do it, I'm very disappointed. So I just kind of set the bar really low and say I'll play what I play, and then I get to play it and I'm happy. Like even at the gathering, I just said there's 2 or 3 games I really want to play. I ended up getting to play 2 of them, and so I mean, if Spectre Ops happens to be at Origins, I'll play it. I would like to play that. A couple other games.
I'm almost positive it'll be there.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
Yeah, yeah, I think it will be too. Is anybody else from Plaid Hat going?
Oh yeah,
I don't even know that they
will
will
be there. I
Perfect.
think Hamilton will be there.
Yeah, they just showed a picture yesterday, I think, on their Facebook of their new.
Yeah, their
backdrop.
giant banner.
Their
Oh
banner
my-
it's
That
hilarious.
was awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. Are they? Where are they in, Jonathan?
What's that?
Country? What province? What state are they in?
They're here in Ohio, about an hour away.
That's what I
from me.
thought. Yeah. Okay.
But they are packing up and moving to Texas.
I was just gonna say, aren't they moving to Dallas?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
abandoning Origins for BGG Con. You know, picking
Yeah,
up
Oh,
a
and-
local
Central
con.
to Origins and Gen Con, like a 4-hour drive in both directions.
Wow.
Interesting. There's actually a question from Suzanne. She wanted to know. Suzanne asks all the questions all the time. She wanted to know about are there big differences between BGG Con and Origins, and if you've been to both of them. I haven't. So, Isaac, have you
This
been?
will be
to
my
both of them?
first year at BGG Con, so I can't compare.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to BGG Con. You really can't compare. I mean, I guess BGG Con is a lot smaller, like a lot smaller. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it's something like 1,200 people are
Yeah.
BGG Con.
That's what I've heard. I was just gonna guess about that.
Yeah, and they cap tickets, right? So it's a lot smaller, and there's something really nice about that. There's one giant room that's
Yeah.
basically where all the board gaming happens, and everyone's kind of in it together. So last year there was a different room on the side also, and there was an upstairs, but it's really you can kind of wrap your arms all the way around it.
Mhm.
It's also in the airport in Dallas, like it's in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, which is to say not in Dallas or Fort Worth. It's
Right.
just in the
a
airport.
convenient location for everyone traveling.
Right, so it's very convenient, but it's also a little claustrophobic because it's like you keep seeing the same people in the same room and the same one barbecue joint that everyone goes to, and
Your family.
right, it's cool and it's wonderful, and you play Crokinole Jeremiah Lee about 26 times, and it's great, but at some
Nice.
point, right, you just need a little bit of air and a little bit of separation. Columbus. Both because you're in a city and you're walking around and you're outside and so on, and also because the Columbus Convention Center is enormous. It's actually bigger than Indy. We're in a
Really?
just a small
Wow.
section of it, but the convention center itself is one of the 10 largest in the U.S.
That's incredible.
So it feels big, I mean, it doesn't. You don't have that same feeling of being trapped. Also, BGG Con doesn't really have scheduled events. It's just open gaming. Everything's open gaming. Origin, and it has a very small vendor hall. It has maybe 15 vendors. Origins is much, much larger in lots of different ways. If you are an alpha gamer who wants to see the new stuff from Essen and hang out with, all the personalities from BGG and so forth, you're gonna love BGG Con. But if you just want to come and play lots of games and buy some of them because they're cool, you should go to Origins.
What about
So
from a
there's-
designer's perspective?
Oh, we got to say bye to Dylan. He's fading.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Bye, Dylan. We'll see
I'm
you later.
turning
Thanks for
into a
dropping in.
pumpkin.
Pumpkin
I will
time.
see you later.
Thanks for
All
coming.
right.
It's good to see
Good night. Sorry, back to that question.
you. Yeah. What,
From a designer's
what do you mean by a
perspective.
designer's perspective? Like pitching games, then?
Pitching
or...
games,
Okay.
meeting with prospective publishers, other designers.
Yeah, both
What do
of
you
you. What do you think?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, John.
My advice to designers is always, treat it like a business, regardless of which convention it is. Contact the publishers well ahead of time and set up appointments.
Yep.
I mean, if you just walk up to a publisher at their booth with your game in your hand and shove it at them and say, "I made this," they're probably not going to want to look at it. But I mean, Origins is a great convention because it's a little bit more low key, so people are a little bit more willing to make time for you. But I mean, it's they're there to do business, so them taking time to talk to you, you should show them an equal amount of respect.
Totally.
Right. Good point. One of the things that is running at Origins this year that I don't believe there's any spots left for is that publisher speed dating thing. So
Mhm.
that's another thing that if you are going to the major conventions where there is one of those, that is a great way of not having to do what Jonathan said,
It goes
make
quick.
multiple appointments. It's just you get a bunch of kicks at the can all at one go, and it's actually a really good baptism by fire if you've never really done it before. It's a good thing. So if you can get on the list, get on the list. I know it's already closed for this year, but for the next convention, so they'll be at Gen Con, they'll be at several other things over the course of the year. There'll be these publisher speed dating things, so look out for those. Get on Facebook in the Game Design Card and Board Game Designers Guild or whatever it's called. You'll get notification of that kind of stuff. Daryl, anything else we need to chat about?
Honestly, I would just say if you're at Origins, please, if you see Sen or I, flag us down, say hello, introduce yourself. We are there to get to know people, and if you're a designer, don't be shy. Ask to do a quick video with us. We'd love to splice together a whole bunch of even just real quick, like hearing about people's games, so we could maybe do something really, really quick, or just even just getting to know you and schedule something, upcoming. We're hoping that this will be a great time for us to network and get to know some new people, and also just to encourage designers and playtest stuff. And I know Sen and I love playing people's prototypes, so if there's a chance that we can sit in and try your games, we'd love to encourage your designs and learn from each other as well. Like, we got a lot to learn ourselves, so it's inspiring. It's not just like, don't feel like you're using us or anything like that. Like, we're inspired and encouraged by that, and we're gonna ask you to play test stuff too. So yeah, it's just the nature of how this goes, and I'm excited. I mean, I love the board game community. It was funny even on my travels, bumping into gamers here or there, and it's just, there's something about this community that is just so life-giving and so encouraging, and I'm looking forward to seeing new and old friends.
Yeah, and so that if you are a designer and you see Daryl or myself, feel free to run up to us and give us your elevator pitch. Seriously, just give us your elevator pitch to practice it on somebody that doesn't know your game, that doesn't maybe even know you, and we'll actually give you feedback right then and there, because that's, it's a value-added service. If you're a person who watches our show, we want to give back to you as well. So whatever we can play test your game, if we can give you feedback, if we can help you out with your pitch, let us know. We're here. And so, hit us off on Twitter, on Facebook, email, Sen at meeplesyrupshow.com, Daryl at meeplesyrupshow.com, and get, schedule a little time with us if you have to, if you want to do it that way. But even if you just see us, randomly walk up to us. Daryl's not hard to see. I am like a ninja, and I hide in small places, so finding me might be a little difficult, but I'll be with Daryl, so just flag Daryl down, and yes, and I'll be hiding in the shadow, throwing smoke bombs and ninja stars, right? So there you go.
You've got the Rocky Raccoon dynamic worked out.
Yeah, pretty much. Any last words, John?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to anybody who wants to, meet up, hit me up on Twitter or anything else. I love just meet new people at conventions, so I'm more than happy, like you said, to make time for just about anybody.
Isaac, any last words from you, my friend?
Yeah, first of all, let me just echo what Sen said, and every designer out there who wants to get some feedback on their pitches. Sen has been tremendously generous with a lot of designers looking over their games and giving great feedback, and he's really thoughtful about it. So take him up on this opportunity. Make him regret it. So definitely find him. If you're looking for me, I will be at the Eagle and Griffin demo area from 8 a.m. to noon and from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Every day, and pretty much if you want to find me at any other time in the evening, I will be probably hanging around the Blue Noodle. So find me there. You can get in touch with me at Kind Fortress on Twitter, Isaac at kindfortress.com by email if you'd like to schedule a time, if you'd like to hang out, if you'd like me to look at your game, if you want to look at one of my games. All of those things are possible. If you just want to go to North Market and like eat ridiculous amounts of food, I'm totally down for that too. So that'll be fun. And Daryl, you and I have to play some Baker Street.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Right on.
So on that note, I got to wrap. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Our next show will be coming to you live from Origins Game Fair. We'll be getting lots of footage. Looking forward to meeting you and 10,000 other gamers all playing games and prototyping and all that jazz. So keep making great games, and we look forward to trying your game someday soon. Cheers.